Yeah, look, it's interesting, the process and the dynamic of a small auction. Things can get out of control when you know there's 3 or 4 teams bidding on, a select few players for a certain role. And we estimated that was probably going to be the case for 4 or 5 of the quick bowlers around the place, given who was looking for what. So it didn't come as a huge surprise, particularly with Kyle, given his recent form for New Zealand in a number of the formats. Obviously, he doesn't have that IPL experience, but look, we've obviously backed him in. And from that perspective, he brings a skill set that not a lot of players have. He's obviously a giant of a man. He gets bounced with the new ball, and he can also handle the bat. So, he's an exciting young talent, and there's a role there potentially for him, depending on what sort of balanced team we play with. So he comes into the mix, and obviously Glenn Maxwell as well. We knew he was going to be in demand. He's a highly experienced player. He'd been in very good form in T20 internationals for Australia late last year, and then obviously had a pretty good Big Bash as well for the Stars. So, he's that multi-purpose player that we were looking for, and and those 2 guys, we knew we were probably going to have to spend a bit of money, and we ended up doing that. I think the thing about senior players is they got a fight for the contest, and we know that with him. He's always up for it, he's always buzzing. He's a very skillful bowler, but he's also a very smart bowler, and we saw that last year. We asked him to be our leading wicket taker. We got that role for him by balancing the team the way we needed it to, and took a bit of the heat off him having to bowl, in the power play like he had in the past. And he didn't let us down. I think 21 wickets, and he was outstanding. He won us a number of games with the ball at critical times. So, obviously there's high expectations of him, but we also know there's support around him with our bowling lineup to be able to allow him to play that attacking role with the ball, particularly through the middle overs. So I think with Yuzi, he's going to be up for it. Yes, he hasn't played as much cricket as late, but in a way, after a long season too, that might be a blessing in disguise, because we know that there are going to be some players that are jaded from a long international summer, not only in Australia but also here against England. So look, you're always looking for positives, and I know that he'll be keen to go and do well for us. I think we tried to balance it for both sets of conditions. We knew that they were going to be pretty similar. The UAE we found last year, it did give the bowlers a bit of a chance. There was just enough on offer, either with the new ball or with the spinners on the slower wickets, maybe in Abu Dhabi and sometimes at Sharjah. So, from that perspective, depending on what we got here in India, we thought that there's still going to be conditions that would suit us. So yeah, from that perspective, we feel like we've got those bases covered. Now it comes down to guys being in form and hopefully playing their roles like they did for us last year, and hopefully going better. We know we've still got areas to improve in our game. We saw that throughout the tournament last year. We had a good tournament, but we know we've got to get better to compete with the top 2 teams, which were, no doubt, they were Mumbai and Delhi. Look, I think we're pretty balanced. I think we're always looking for the best player for the certain role. And look, we've got a couple of Kiwis in here this year. Obviously, Finn Allen's replaced Josh Phillippe. Kyle Jamison's come in. Last year we had Udana, and he did a good role for us at times. So, it depends on who's available. Obviously, we'd look at some of the West Indian boys, but a lot of them were, obviously the top players are taken by the franchises, but a lot depends on who you're looking for and the best quality of player. And at this point in time, a number of the guys we looked at this year happened to be a couple of Kiwis and a couple of Australians. So it wasn't all Australia, but obviously, we do look at players that are performing, and some of those guys were performing right before our eyes in the BBL. There's no way we can get around it. It's just a byproduct of the scheduling and the way it is. So, and given the quarantine rulings here with the 7 days, that's just the way we have to deal with it. So I think most teams have to deal with it. There's going to be injuries potentially. If there's a COVID case, that could impact on teams. So, we've just got to manage it and make sure that we've got that squad mentality, that if something happens unexpectedly, an injury or COVID, we've got guys there ready to go, and we can only control what we can control, and that's the way it is.